Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is currently 1:22 a.m. on this very, very cold evening. It's 32 degrees, but I swear it feels like it's like 15 outside. It's so cold. And I took a little bit of a nap earlier, but then I woke up and was just doing silly stuff, ordering stuff on Amazon, looking at more graphic novels on Amazon. I have the heat pumping on in here, and then I have this coat on, and it's getting toasty warm, so in a second I'm probably gonna have to stop and take this coat off. I'm hoping maybe not, but we'll see. But I was ordering stuff on Amazon, and then I got the next 3 Jana DeLeon books on Audible. I'm trying to do more of like talking about my books and my book vlogs, because I'm trying to vlog every day. It's not like Vlogmas, but it's like Bookmas is what I'm calling it. I'm like trying to vlog every day on my BookTube channel. Today I did a haul actually over there because like 4 of my new graphic novels came. So I did that over on my BookTube channel today. But I'm trying to reserve my book talk to my book channel, my BookTube channel, Peter Likes Books. But you guys, reading is such a huge part of what I do. And I got a comment on my vlog last night, and I totally was not offended by it at all. Like, it seems like every couple months I get a couple of these messages or comments where people are like, could you reserve your book talk to your BookTube channel? And it was a really nice comment. Whoever left it was like, most of us watch all your channels anyway, so it's like crossover, I think is a little bit of what they meant, which I totally agree. But I do want to just say on here really quickly, because I'm listening to currently Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. And I finished Solitaire last night, which was 5 out of 5 stars, you guys. It was so good. And then I ended up reading the next one, which is called, it was like a spinoff, and it was called Nick and Charlie. And then today I finished another spinoff that was called This Winter. It was actually, that one was only like an hour and 2 minutes long. So now I'm listening to Radio Silence, which is like 10 hours long, 10 hours and 22 minutes. And she is just a phenomenal writer. Like, I'm so into her books. And, but I will say, like, I wanted to continue to read her books because I was like, okay, now that I'm kind of like into it right now, and I'm like really into this whole world that she writes about, because in this book, Radio Silence had to have been written after Solitaire, because what happens at the end of Solitaire is referenced at the beginning of Radio Silence. And so, and I love when authors do that kind of stuff, or they have like characters from other books make cameo role, you know, in cameo roles or whatever in their other books. Like, I love that. So yeah, it's really, really good. I feel like lately I have like been watching a lot of TV and reading a lot of books. I've been reading these graphic novels just like crazy. Currently, I'm reading 2 graphic novels. I'm reading Bloom, and which is actually by 2 people. One does the illustrations, and I think they're friends, and the other one is the author, and it's really good. I talked all about that on my BookTube channel. And then today in the mail came the 3rd Heartstopper book, which is the 3rd Alice Oseman, Nick and Charlie graphic novel. So I started that today, or tonight. So yeah, and then tonight, while I was eating dinner, Alex and I couldn't decide on what we wanted for dinner, so he got Taco Bell. And I got Maggiano's. So, it was good. I had dinner while I was sitting there, and I was watching the 4th episode of the Heaven's Gate docuseries. And, so I finally finished the Heaven's Gate docuseries. I actually think I'm going to, like, on the shows I start watching, I think I'm going to do reviews of them on my review channel. So I think I'm going to do a Heaven's Gate review sometime this week. I also ordered a bunch of stuff on Amazon that I'm going to order. Like, I love doing the Starbucks reviews and stuff, but, like, I know people get tired of them. The thing is like, a lot of people are like, every day you review a Starbucks drink, and so I've been kind of like the last like week been trying to like not do as many Starbucks reviews, and I'm gonna kind of like do more of them towards the end of the month, like around Christmas. But the thing is that if I do a Starbucks review, like it gets predominantly more views. Like people seem to enjoy those more than if I review like a dog box or just, you know, something like a candy or something. So I ordered some different candies and stuff like that from Amazon, and those should be here this week. You know, I was gonna do all these advent calendars again. I have a whole Diet Coke, and then I have another Diet Coke, because when I'm done, I'm gonna listen to my audiobook. Did I tell you guys that I bought a case of a 12-pack of Diet Coke? I was really excited about it, because remember I said that I missed like having Diet Cokes at home, so I was just like, I'm gonna do that and start saving a little bit of money, I guess, too, from getting fountain pops all the time. And I've been, you know, only trying to like drink water out of like my Starbucks cups. I just fill it up with my Pure thing, and so I don't buy bottles of water anymore. At least I try not to. But anyway, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? Now I don't remember it. I just lost what I was gonna say. Anyway, it probably wasn't important anyway. Wiggle your toes and you'll remember it, Peter. Yeah, I think I want to start like reviewing like shows I watch. Like I want to watch The Christmas Chronicles too, and I'm going to review that. I was watching Santa Jaws to review for Bad Movie Mondays today, and I actually did not even start making videos until like 5 o'clock today. So by the time I got to do my review video, I still had to watch like the last half of Santa Jaws, and it's so bad, you guys. Like, I picked this movie like as my Bad Movie Monday review. It's really, really bad. Like, I mean, it's horribly bad. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. The thing was, like, at first I was kind of into it. It's really like a family movie, which is really strange. It's about this kid. It's very kind of like Home Alone-ish. Except that, like, he wishes that his family wasn't there anymore, and then they, like, get killed by shark. This great white shark. Who is apparently so big because she ate Santa Claus. It's so bad, you guys. And she wears a Santa Claus hat in the ocean. You guys, it's so bad. Like, it is so incredibly bad. And I just was like, I was trying to get through this movie. I was like watching it and I was like, who made this movie for who? Like, who is like seriously sitting here watching this movie, like finding any enjoyment off of it? It is so bad. But I was like, okay, I'm committed to watching this movie for Bad Movie Mondays, which is gonna now be bad movie. This week it's gonna be Bad Movie Tuesdays. So I'm trying to get through this movie, right? So that I can do this review today. And I told Alex, I was like, he had just gotten his Taco Bell, and I was like, there's no way I can finish this movie today. I like have no interest to watch this movie. And he started laughing so hard, and I was like, I'm trying to get through this movie so that I can do this review of it tonight. But I said, by the time I get, because I was watching like 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there, I was like, by the time I get through with this movie, it's gonna be like 10 o'clock at night. Like, I'm just gonna have to, so I still have like some of it to watch, you guys, so that I can do this review tomorrow. It's so bad. Like, usually these bad movies are kind of entertaining, but it's like really bad. I mean, it is like pulling teeth. Shark teeth. Anyway, it is really, really bad. But, so yeah, I didn't do a review video there today. I thought about just doing a quick Starbucks review, and then I was like, no, it's Bad Movie Mondays, and you're sticking to the theme. But then I didn't get it done. And my plan was to watch it, like, in between stuff, and then get it up, and I just never did. So, it's whatever. It's not, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, does it? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's so cold out. I wish, like, this is where, if it's gonna be this cold, could we please just get some snow? It was so funny because when I talked to Michael on the phone from Pathology, I told him, I said, you guys should do an apartment tour. Like, I love apartment tours when people do. I always want to know, like, where people live and stuff. Now I get it when people are like, do a house tour. I've done house tours. I've done office tours. I've done all kinds of stuff. But I love when people say, I actually have to drop off my office rent. I have it over here. Do you guys want to see? Here's my office rent for December. I have to go drop that off for my office that I don't use. Obviously, since it's the 8th and I haven't even been over there. Oh my God, what is... Oh, this stupid book has been playing all this time. Don't do that. I hate when it does that. Then I have to go back and find my spot. But anyway, so... I think, like, this spring, like, early spring, honestly, like, when we can't go and do anything, I am gonna, like, try to, like, paint one of my rooms in my office and turn it into, like, I'm kind of thinking about, like, maybe making it, like, a desk, and you know how, like, okay, please, when I say this, I know that I am no Philip DeFranco, but you know, like, how Philip DeFranco has, like, a desk and all that kind of stuff? I'd kind of like to have, like, a drama room like that for my drama channel videos, and, like, all, you know, like, I like how a lot of these, like, different drama channels now have, like, studio rooms set up, you know, like, Emily D. Baker has that set up, and I have the place to do it. And so, I'm thinking about doing that. I've also had a couple people contact me about subletting my office. So I could keep one room, because I have, like, 3 rooms and a full bathroom. I could rent out 2 of the rooms, and I could keep one room and use it as a studio that I could go in late at night and do, because I wouldn't be there, obviously, late at night. And I could also use it for, like, a writing place. I enjoy writing at home, though, more. So anyway, Michael did an apartment tour, which I asked him on the phone. I was like, where do you guys live? And he told me where. I know exactly where he lives. I know the exact building and everything that it is. We actually know people that live in there. And, we're, like, really close to it. I mean, not, like, super close, but... I mean, literally like a 15-minute, 10 or 15-minute drive, probably. We're probably that close to each other. So, we were going to do this video together this week. He reached out to me and he gave me, like, his times and stuff. But I was like, I've got all this recovery stuff that I've got to do this week. So, this week is not a great week for me. So, we're going to do it next week. He's such a nice guy. It's so funny because when I talked to him on the phone, like, he didn't seem nervous at all to me. He seemed just, like, very chill. He reminds me so much of my brother. So he's, like, my brother-in-law's age. Well, my brother Fufu just turned 27 yesterday. And Michael's 27. Like, and they remind me of each other, kind of, in some ways. And it's so weird to me that Fufu is 27. I remember when I first started dating Alex, and so he was 15 at the time. Well, he was 14 going on 15. And he had, like, long, shaggy hair, like, down to his shoulders, and he was, like, a skater, and he very much had that, like, hairdo, you know, that swooped across, kind of, like, long, you know, shaggy hair, skater, and, like, 2 different colored socks, and just... Okay, I had to stop it because I mentioned one of Fufu's friends' names, who he's still friends with today. But actually, Alex and I see him more often than he sees him. But anyway, you know, I always wondered back then, like if Fufu would be, like, cool with his brother, like, being gay and, you know, having a much older boyfriend and things like that. And, well, first of all, nobody in the family was, like, weird about it at all. Like, I've talked about this on here before, but I went in very deliberately letting them get to know me as a person, right? Like, especially with Alex's mom. which I think was important, that she just got to know me as like Peter, the person. I mean, she knew that we were dating, but you know what I mean? I didn't like go in and try to like establish my role as the boyfriend or anything like that. And, like, in fact, it's interesting because I've been around now, like, other than like the main family members, like I've been there longer than Liliana, I've been there longer than Jesse, I've been there longer than, you know, a lot of the other people that are like, have married into the family, you know, like the cousins and things like that. And it's kind of weird because I've like been there for a long time. I'm 12 years plus at this point. So I can remember like when we started dating, well, maybe it was like 4 or 5 months in, because when I started dating Alex, he was living in his mom's house. He had just moved up here from Bloomington because he was finishing school at IUPUI, Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, which is where I went to school. And so he was living at his mom's house. So I would go over there to pick him up or whatever. It's like Mom would have us over there, or she would have me over there for dinner. And this is like the first time I actually really did anything with like the family, like the whole unit, was like around Halloween time. And then we spent Thanksgiving together with them. And then after that, it was like I saw them quite a bit. So like August to September, so like 3 months in, I started seeing the family regularly. And I just didn't know, like, you know, I mean, I didn't know, like, you know, if Fufu would, I just didn't know what he would think about his brother being gay and having this, like, you know, boyfriend that could have been his dad's age, you know, like, whatever. And I remember he and I had a conversation. Alex and I we used to take him to movies a lot. And I remember, like, I would say to Alex, like, you know, like, because he would say, I want to do something with my, you know, brother, like, we should go and take him out to dinner. We would go see him. I remember we would do this, like, once every couple of weeks. We would take him to go see a movie. And then we would take him to Steak and Shake afterwards for dinner. And because it was, like, right next to the movie theater. And, I also remember when he was in college, we drove up there for his birthday, and we took him out to this like Scotty's pub place up there, and that was fun. I remember it was like, well, because his birthday is, you know, in December, and it was cold outside. And actually, it's funny because Fufu told me that like several people that he works with watch my vlog, so they told him, they said, because they knew like he was from Indianapolis or whatever, and they like put 2 and 2 together, and they're like, oh my god, this is like your brother-in-law. And he was like, yeah. And he's like, several people I work with watch your vlog. So for those of you that watch my vlogs that know Monn, he goes by, I mean, nobody calls him Fufu except for Alex and I. And Sarah calls him Fufu too. And Alex's close friends from college call him Fufu. But other than that, nobody calls him Fufu. So for those of you that are friends with Juan out there in San Diego, hola, how are you? Thank you for watching my vlog. I really appreciate it. But anyway, I can remember we would like take him out and we would go see movies. We took him to go see some scary movie. This is so funny to me. He swears this is not true, but I still bring this up to him. We took him to go see some scary movie, and it wasn't even really like that scary. It was like a PG-13 kind of scary movie, and he was so terrified. He was like, I hate scary movies. He was like real mad about it. So then after that, Alex was just like, you can pick the movie, whatever we go see. And I remember we went and saw the Transformers movie with Megan Fox, and it was like 3 hours long, and I was like, oh my god, is this movie gonna ever end? And I thought it was so stupid. And he loved the Percy Jackson novels, which I didn't know anything about Rick Riordan or the Percy Jackson novels at the time. So I used to buy them for him. Like, I would go to Barnes & Noble if I was going over there for dinner, and I would buy him like a Percy Jackson novel, and I would take it to him and stuff. And so yeah, and it was nice because, like, you know, like, at the time, Carlos lived in Venezuela. So, like, Alex and I were really, like, the only, because Fufu's dad lives in Venezuela, too. So, like, Alex and I were, like, the only, like, older, like, you know, father figure types, if you even want to call it that Fufu had. And so, Alex was really good about trying to like do stuff with him around that time. I can remember sitting down and doing like his college essays with him. Like I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, or was I talking about it? I was talking about it in my Peterisms video, because he had an essay, and I think it was for Ball State, which is where he ended up going. He didn't end up using this essay, but he wanted to go into doing like skate park engineering. Like he wanted to design skate parks. And I was like, well, that's a cool idea, because he was Fufu is a huge skater. And now he's like into surfing and stuff. He doesn't skate as much, but when he's home, he'll skate with his friends sometimes, but very rarely anymore. But he was a huge skater when he was in high school. And so I can remember, like, he was so frustrated with these college essays, like he didn't know what to write or whatever. And so I sat down. I can see myself at the kitchen, see us sitting at the kitchen table or dining room table, and I was like, the question was something like, what do you want to do and how would you do it, or something like that, as far as like going into, because he was thinking about going into engineering. And I said, you know, you really should reach out to, if you're really serious about it, to like some people that do that for a living, like they design skate parks, and ask them like what they did to get where they got. And I'm a big believer in that. Like anything that, like when I was writing my book, like I reached out to some of my favorite authors at that time, and that was into how I ended up talking to like Benjamin Eilier Sines, who wrote Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. He was very nice to me. Ellen Hopkins was very nice to me. I love her books. I love her books. You know, I have not read a book of hers in a while. I need to do that. And then Jay Bell was very nice, and Brent Hardiger, who wrote the Russell Middlebrook series, which is one of my favorite series of life. I always forget about that when I talk about series. Like, I've read all of those books. So anyway, they were very nice. And Jackie Collins I had interviewed, and so I had reached out to her too, and she was very nice. I mean, imagine getting like literary advice from Jackie Collins. It was very cool. But anyway, I'm a big believer in that, and I believe that people will help you as much as they can. Now, I will tell you that I have found one area to not necessarily be true of that, and that area is YouTube sometimes. It depends on who you talk to. Like, I've talked to some YouTubers, like, I'm talking about, like, bigger, you know, YouTubers, and you ask them questions about, like, their channel or how to do something or whatever, and it's like, they're willing to help you for a second, but then once they see that, like, and it's so weird too, because like I can remember asking people questions when I had like 5,000 subscribers, right? It was like I was no threat to anybody, and I would ask somebody like, well, what do you think about this? And it's like immediately the conversation stopped. Like, they were very, like, a lot of YouTubers are very much like, are afraid to give away their secrets or whatever, you know? I've had so many people reach out to me, and I try to be as helpful as possible, because I've had some people that were very, very helpful to me and very, very nice. A lot of people that have been very nice and very helpful to me in understanding things and getting, you know, where I'm at and learning how to do things, and I'm very appreciative of that. So I can remember helping him do that, and then what else? I can remember helping him, like Alex and I teaching him how to tie a tie, kind of, because I can't remember what that was for. I think that might have been, so his mom and stepdad got married the September after we got married, and we got married in August, and that was really hard. Okay, so Fufu had spent the entire summer in Venezuela with Carlos and his dad, and then Carlos and Liliana flew to, that was like when that was the first time I met Liliana. They flew to Las Vegas where we got married, and they brought Fufu. And then Carlos and Liliana ended up coming back to Indianapolis for like 6 months. And Carlos had just graduated from college at the time. And so, and Liliana, they met because they worked in the same financial firm. Because they're both financial analysts. Well, they were financial analysts in Venezuela. But anyway, so I don't know that people, she wouldn't care. She laughs about it. I don't know if people know this, that Liliana is older like I am. We always laugh at that. So, I mean, she's just a couple years younger than me, which is crazy to me. I like look at her. I think she looks like she's like 30. So it's hilarious to me. I mean, she looks so good. But yeah, we're only just a couple years apart. So anyway, I love this house right here. It's so cute. Oh, look at that Christmas tree they have in the window. It's so pretty. But anyway, so Fufu came to our wedding, and I remember they had to like find him a skate park in Las Vegas because he hadn't got to skate much when he was in Venezuela, and he was bored one day, and we were all just doing like adult things like hang out by the pool, and he didn't want to do that, so they found this like skate park for him. I think his stepdad took him actually to go do that. Well, they weren't married yet, but he had been around, and they're since divorced. They were married until about a year and a half ago. So they were married for like 7 or 8 years. So anyway, what was I gonna say? So Fufu came home. This was so sad. So we came back on Tuesday. Everybody else flew back on we got married on Thursday. Everybody else flew back on like Saturday. And Fufu, he got home late they flew back on Sunday. Fufu got back like at 10 o'clock on Sunday. And he hadn't had his phone or anything with him in Venezuela. I don't know why. Something happened to his phone. There was something about his phone. So he wasn't having any contact with any of his friends. And Fufu was he had like 3 good friends in high school, 3 really, really close friends. And they were like ride or die skater friends. And one of them is the guy that I said his name on here that we still talk to. He's a really nice guy. And the other, so one of his friends died, I think, in a car accident. And it happened like on that Friday before we got back. And so Fufu went to school on Monday. Now imagine this, at the time, you know, he's like, well, what would he have been there? Like a senior in high school? He's starting his senior year in high school, going into school, and the first day he finds out, like he walks into school, he has no clue, and he walks into school and one of his best friends is dead, he finds out. It was so hard for him, he was so devastated. And I think that was like, because Fufu has quite a few tattoos. I think that was the first tattoo that he ever got, was the symbol that like he and his friends had. They had like this symbol between the 4 of them that they had made up. I felt so bad for him. He's such a good kid. And he is like such a hard worker. And so then he ended up going to Ball State. I don't know why I'm telling the history of Fufu on here. But anyway, I mean, it's just been like, you know, it's been really cool that I have, like, you know, I grew up as an only child. I had no siblings. And, you know, it was always very cool to me that I got, like, Carlos is definitely, like, the brother that is, like, constantly pranking you and, like, hitting your arm. Like, Carlos is that, you know? And so it's kind of, like, cool that I got that brother. And then Fufu is the brother that's kind of like, will sit there and have like long intellectual conversations with you about absolute nonsense, but at the same time want to play a video game. You know what I mean? Like Fufu's definitely, like we go out to dinner with like Fufu and Jesse when they're here, when we're, you know, out there or whatever. Like, we've only gone out there once. And we have like these great conversations. And he and I love the same kind of music and stuff like that. So Fufu's, I mean, he is cool. I love him. And he's just such a bright spirit. Listen, and I'm so excited. I mean, they haven't announced it yet because they're not engaged, but the day they get engaged, I will probably be one of the most excited people for them because I love his girlfriend, Jessie. I think she is so cool, and she just is like a kindred spirit to me, and she's so earthy and bohemian, and it's beautiful, and I just love her, and she's gonna be like such a great addition. Well, she's already part of the family, but like, you know, like their kids are gonna be cool too. It's gonna be funny because, you know, like Carlos and Liliana have had boys, all of the cousins have had boys, like every cousin has had boys, and I know that Fufu and Jessie will have all girls. Jessie is one of 4 girls, so I know that they're gonna have girls. And But anyway, you know, and then to get Liliana as a sister-in-law has just been, like, amazing. That, like, I mean, Caroline's always been, like, my sister, but, like, I don't know. It's like, you know, Liliana and I have really been able to bond, and I just feel so blessed to have them as a family, you know, and Alex's mom and I get along so well. It makes me sad because my mom and her would have gotten along really, really well. Like, I can kind of see my mom, or I can kind of see Alex's mom, like, I could imagine her, like, taking my mom around, like, picking her up and taking her around places, because his mom is very independent, and she likes being very independent, and she likes going here and going there, and going to art gallery openings, and movies, and, you know, this and that, and whatever, and I could just totally see her being like, okay, I'm picking you up, and picking up my mom, and they would just go everywhere together, you know, have sleepovers. Like, she's always wanting to have sleepovers with her girlfriends, and watch Mamma Mia 15 times, you know, and, like, I think my mom would have loved that. Like, my mom didn't have really a lot of friends towards the last, let's say, 15 years of her life that really loved all that kind of stuff. And, like, she would have, like, if Alex's mom, because Alex's mom would have been like, come over and we'll do face masks and I'll cook for you, you know, arepas or something, and, or cachapas, and then we'll watch, you know, movies or dance. My mom would have, like, eaten that up. She would have loved that. I mean, that was the kind of stuff that my mom, like, absolutely loved. Like, if I would have called her and said, hey, I'm coming over, I'm going to stay the night, we're going to do face masks and watch musicals, like, that literally would have been, like, my mom's, like, dream night. She would have loved that. So, you know, now that, you know, like, Alex's mom, I feel like they were almost gifted to me in a weird kind of way. Like, I've kind of thought that at times, like, Alex's family is such the family that I always wished I had growing up, that I almost kind of, like, in a weird way, feel like my mom gifted them to me. I don't know if that makes any sense. I know it sounds strange, probably, but I don't know. I just feel so blessed to have them, you know, each and every one of them. And, but going back to what I was going to say, like, I can remember we, like, took Fufu to, like, a movie or something, and, we, like, took him to, like, Steak and Shake to go eat afterwards, and, like, Alex went to the bathroom, we, like, sat down, and we, like, and I said something to Fufu, I can't remember what it was, but I said something to him about, like, do your friends think it's weird that you're, like, that your brother's gay and has this, like, you know, boyfriend that he lives with and whatever, and Fufu just looked at me like I was crazy, and he was like, they wouldn't be my friends if they thought that way. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I don't have people in my life that think that way. I mean, and he was like 15 at the time when he said that, you know? And, I don't know. It's just, anyway, so it's cool having him as a brother. And it's weird, you know, now to see him at 27. And I can remember, like, we were, like, I don't even know that he knows this, actually. Well, he doesn't watch my vlog, but, we were in San Diego. I downloaded this song, actually. I should look it up. I should pull into the Speedway and look it up. But we were driving back from dinner the last night, and we had gone to this really cool restaurant that Fufu and Jesse picked out for us, and it was in, what is that, Del Rey, or I don't know what that area is called, but anyway, in San Diego, the really nice area. And we were driving back, and it was Alex and I in the back seat, and Fufu and Jesse in the front seat. And Fufu put this song on, and the song was like this real emotional song. It's like some band called like 1979 or The 1979 or something like that. I don't know much about this band, but I downloaded this song, and I looked over at Alex, and I said, and he was just like sobbing. I don't think Fufu knew because he was sitting behind him, and Alex was just sobbing, and I said, babe, I said, what's wrong? And he was just like, he like shook it off. And then we got back to the hotel room, and I said, what happened to you in the car? And he like didn't want to talk about it. And then finally I said, okay, he goes, he's like grown into such a cool young man, and I don't even get to witness it because I'm not out here to see it, you know? And And he's just grown up. Like, he's so grown up, and I'm so proud of him. You know, because Fufu was talking to us about his business and, like, everything he does. And it is so cool to witness that with, you know, the people that we love in our lives, isn't it? What was this song called? I love this song so much. I can't believe I don't know it by heart now. Hold on a second. Artist. I won't be able to find it. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it. But it's like a year. It reminds me of the band The National. Hold on a second. Band 19. I think it's band 1975. Yeah. Although it says pop band. I wouldn't consider them a pop band. Where would you find numbers, band numbers? Oh, here it is, in 1975. And this song is called Inside Your Mind. It's like such a great... Okay, no, we don't need Absolutely Fabulous right now. Anyway, it's a really great song. Whenever I hear it, I always think of Fufu. But isn't family this amazing thing? You know, like... I don't really have that many friends of mine that complain about their families. But, like, I've known a lot of people in my life. And I've complained about my family at times, you know? Like, God, back in the day, before my mom was sick and my aunt was sick, and, you know, Christmas, I can remember calling Caroline and being like, okay, we're gonna have to keep them apart so they don't fight, you know? Since Caroline chose to share this on our Q&A, it's something that I have chosen not to really talk about because it's not my story, but, you know, my aunt was a really heavy drinker too. I don't know that she would identify herself as an alcoholic. That's not my place to say, but she was a heavy drinker, like to the point where it caused problems. And my mom, like after she got sober, like throughout the evening at Christmas, there would be a point where it kind of got bad, but like my mom would not pick up on the fact that like my aunt had been drinking a lot. So my aunt would make like an off-the-cuff remark, right? And she would say something, and my mom, it would be like really kind of mean, and my mom wouldn't understand it. And that was always like like Caroline and I would look at each other like that was my cue to like get my mom out of there, like before, because it could get ugly. Like my mom would start like yelling at me like, why are you talking? And my aunt would just kind of like sit there like, you know, because she'd been drinking. It was hard. It was really hard, you know. What was interesting about it was that like my grandma that went to prison, yes, but you know, I joke about my grandma a lot in my videos, and I think that's my way of making sense of it. I mean, it's just, like, let's just be for real. It's unfathomable, okay? Like, this woman that 4'10" her entire life, worked her ass off. I mean, if there was anything that anybody ever said about my grandma, like, this is almost kind of the ridiculousness about it. If there was anything that people would say about my grandma, it was that she was, like, one of the hardest working people that they ever knew, right? To then find out that she had gone to prison as a result of stealing money from the place that she worked. It's kind of like, and that the people that told me like what a hard worker she was knew that. Like, that's what's kind of crazy to me, you know? But like, my grandma was so good to Caroline and I mean, I loved her so much. I loved my grandma so much when I was growing up. And she was very protective of Caroline and I. And I can remember going to the grocery store with my grandma, and she would like be hunched over. Like Caroline and I must have like had to stay with her for weekends or something. I can remember staying there for like a night or whatever, but like we must have been with her for like longer periods of time than that. I know I stayed with her for like weekends when my parents would go out of town when I was like little. And so my grandma would like, I remember her, Caroline remembers, she doesn't remember a lot, but she remembers this. My grandma being kind of like hunched over the grocery cart and pushing it because she was so short, and she had a cigarette in her hand. And back then, people smoked everywhere. Do you guys remember that at the beauty shop? My grandma went to the beauty shop. My grandma went to the beauty shop literally every week, like on Fridays, and got a roller set, and got her nails were like unbelievably perfect. Like red dagger nails. In fact, when she passed away, like they had an open casket, and I can remember that's one, because I had a hard time walking into that. I don't know if I've ever talked about that on here before, but like I literally almost could not walk in the room because Caroline and I came late because we didn't want to see an open casket, and then they decided to keep it open because they had said to us, like, this is so, I don't know where I'm going with this story. I'm just kind of like snowballing it now. So when my grandma passed away, my grandma had gallbladder surgery, and because she had severe emphysema, she didn't make it. And so I was like 13 at the time, Caroline was 16. So we were all over at, you want to talk about heavy drinking. I remember I had been on a ski trip with my dad and my stepmom and another friend of mine, like some friend of our families when I was a kid, my dad's work friend's son. And I remember they dropped him off, and it was like a Sunday night, and we came back really, really late. And I remember my dad went inside. Like, my dad and my stepmom started acting really weird. My dad had gotten paged, and like they started acting really weird, and I couldn't really figure it out. And I can remember, I don't know why, I was like in the garage. I can see her standing there. I don't know why I'm gonna get emotional talking about this, but I can see my stepmom standing there talking to me. Like, I'm on the steps, like in the garage, going into the back, like the mud room and the back laundry room. And I can remember she was the one that told me that my grandma had passed away. And she was so sweet about it and so kind. And my stepmom had said to me one time, I'll never forget this because I think this is such a great thing to say to stepkids. She said, you know, she goes, I'll never be your mom, and I'm not trying to take her place. My stepmom really respected my mom's role. Like, she never tried to be somebody that stepped in and tried to be my mom. But she said to me, she goes, you know, I'll never be your mom. I'm not going to try to be your mom. And she said, but I'm not your friend either, and I don't want to be your friend. She goes, and I can have a special relationship with you that other people can't have, because I'm not your mom and I'm not your friend, but I'm something special, and that's your stepmom. And she and I, you know, like, I can remember, like, she was somebody that, like, a lot of my hard stuff, like, that I had to deal with, it was, like, through her. Like, she just had a way of telling me. But anyway, I remember her telling me that. And then I remember my dad saying, where do you want to stay here tonight, or do you want to go to your Aunt Kathy's house? Because my mom was at my Aunt Kathy's house. And I said, I just was sobbing, and I said, I want to be at my Aunt Kathy's house. And I remember my dad brought me over there, and it was like manic craziness. There was like all of these people there, and you know, like cooking in the kitchen and talking. And I can remember my dad came in, and he went over to my mom and my aunt, and I'm like, I don't know what he said, but I can just remember seeing my mom and my aunt on that couch, and they just were wasted. They just were like, you know, perfect hair and everything, just sitting on this couch in this very formal living room in my aunt's house. And all these people like coming around and talking to them and stuff, and they just, you know, it just was like, my grandma she hated drinking. She hated it. That's what I was going to say. Okay, it was at the end, and then my camera was giving me all kinds of trouble trying to get into that beanbag. So anyway, I'm a little recovered from my crying now because it's been a couple minutes while I was trying to screw with this beanbag. Anyway, yeah, my grandma hated drinking. She was a teetotaler. And my mom would always say that too. She would say, you know, like, so my mom and my aunt always called my grandma Mother. And then they called their dad Daddy, I think, because he, like, had passed away when they were so young. I don't know. But anyway, they would always say Mother hated drinking. Like, she hated it. And she did, too, I remember. I don't remember her being, like... I feel like I got, like, toothpaste or something in my beard today. It's been, like, driving me crazy all day right here. I don't remember her being, like, critical. Like, telling my mom she shouldn't drink. Maybe, but I don't really remember it. I just can remember she didn't like it. And, you know, like, Caroline and I found out that our grandfather had been a bartender at Thunderbird. And I was trying to think of what it was called. In downtown Indianapolis in Fountain Square, which they've redone, and it's this very hipster kind of, like, bar now. They serve, like, elephant ears and stuff. It's very cool. Anyway, so we found out that he had been, like, one of the original bartenders there. You know, I've always wondered, and then Caroline and I were talking about it recently with doing the Q&A and stuff, like, maybe her grandfather was an alcoholic, like, and they just never talked about it, which, you know, would totally make sense. And, I don't know, you know. I know my grandma hated it. She hated drinking. And, I wonder what she would have thought about us getting sober. Like, I wonder if she would have thought that that was, like, weakness, or if she would have been happy about that, you know? I mean, she didn't come from the generation where they talked about 12-step programs and stuff, although, like, my grandma wasn't, I'm sure, ignorant to it, because, I mean, 12-step programs started, like, when, you know, she was an adult, so it wasn't like, I don't know, it's weird looking back on that, though, you know? I'm all over the place with this vlog tonight, it's crazy. I do remember one Christmas, it wasn't the Christmas Eve that my mom put the car into the ditch. I've talked a lot about that on here, and I've talked about it enough, quite frankly. It's the, and you know, the other thing that's interesting is this, is that, like, every time, like, I talk about my mom's drinking and whatever, I always get, like, one or two people that will say, you know, like, your mother would be so upset if you were talking about... Well, first of all, I knew my mother, you didn't. And I don't believe that to be true. I think that had she, when she was alive, she didn't want a lot of her stories known. But, like, there were a lot of times that I would say to her, like, sharing my story, you know, like, and she would say, like, I wish we could, like, share our stories together. Would you ever be willing to do that? I think, like, if my mom knew that it could help people, like, in any way whatsoever, like, the sharing of the stories, or if any one person out there was like, you know what, like, I grew up in a very similar situation, and that really helps me, my mother would say, tell as much as you want to tell. She wouldn't care at all. But I always get those comments from somebody out there. They're like, you're being so disrespectful to your mother, blah, 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 whatever, you know? Quite frankly, it's my story to tell if I want to tell it. You know, it's what I went through growing up. So it's really my story. So if we're talking about disrespecting anybody, it's myself. Or, you know, I'll tell what I want to tell. But, you know, the greatest gift that my mom ever gave me, and I tell people this all the time, because I want people to know how you can change your children's lives, you know? The greatest gift my mom ever gave me, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh my Lord. The greatest gift my mom ever gave me was her getting sober and giving us a sober life together. And I can't really talk about that without talking about my mom's drinking, you know? So if you're out there and you drink or you use drugs and you have kids, and I don't care how old they are, trust me, they are suffering as a result. And I don't think that you're a bad person. I never thought my mom was a bad person, although sometimes I would watch, you know, the things that she did, and it would really, really frustrate me. Because I was of the belief before I got educated and got sober that if you loved me enough, you wouldn't do this to me, you know? And so it was frustrating to me when I was growing up, because I was like, if my mom loved me enough, she wouldn't act this way. You know, and Caroline and I would go rounds about that after I got sober and after my mom got sober, because she would tell me about some argument that she and my aunt would get into, and I would say, Caroline, you know, you have to realize it's the alcohol talking too, you know? And she's like, I know, but like, you know, and like, that's the number one thing that I hear from people a lot, you know? It's just like, they don't understand. Like, I've done everything for my kids, and I've done everything, and they just won't stop, you know? And, or, you know, like when people reach out to me and they're like, you know, my mom this or my dad that, and, you know, like, if they loved me, they wouldn't continue to drink or use that way. Well, I've said this for a while, you know, if love were enough, there'd be no need for, you know, treatment programs or therapists or counselors or self-help programs or 12-step meetings or, you know, whatever. There just wouldn't. But unfortunately, love's not enough. And the other thing is that alcoholics and addicts are not bad people trying to get good. They're sick people trying to get well, you know? And, it's hard. That's why every day I say a prayer for the still suffering alcoholic and addict, you know, that's still out there. You know, because if you're out there and you're using, you're affecting greatly the lives of those around you. I had no clue, you know. I mean, I got sober at 22 and a half. And besides my friends that I was using with, you know, like, I had no idea the lives that I was affecting around me. You know, my dad and my stepmom and my mom and, like, my mom's close friends that were, like, hearing from her all the time. And, you know, like, just people in my life, like, close people in my life, some of my closest friends were worried all the time about me, I found out later, you know? And, I think as you get older, it's even worse. You know, that's why I say, like, I was 22 and a half. It's not like my circle was that broad. You know what I mean? Like, if you watch my Q&A with Caroline, like, I wasn't even seeing her that regularly, so it wasn't like my addiction was affecting her that greatly. You know what I mean? But if I had siblings, I think it would be much different. I think that if I had had siblings that I was, like, actually seeing or living with or whatever, I think that, you know, because that was when Caroline was in college and I was in college, and I think it would have been, I just think I would have, you know, and then if I had siblings that were older or that had kids or spouses, I would be affecting all of that as well. I don't know. I don't think we have any clue the people, and even, it doesn't really matter the amount of people, you know, like, even if you're only just affecting one person, like, in retrospect, like, other than my aunt and my uncle, I don't think that my mom's drinking, well, at the end, I guess I should say, I don't think her drinking really, like, I know it drove Caroline crazy, but, like, Caroline could always just leave and walk away, right? But, like, other than my aunt and uncle and myself, 3 people that felt like that we had to take care of my mom, you know, she needed, like, as wise as I paint this picture of her, she needed a lot of caretaking. And so, she's a very fearful woman, very scared, very fearful. And so other than the 3 of us, I don't think that her drinking really did affect a lot of people. I really just don't, you know? I mean, people were concerned about her, like her friends and stuff like that, but I don't think that it was like they were, like, every day obsessively concerned about it. Like, I think there was a point when I was like that with, I mean, my mom's drinking, I think it frustrated me and angered me more than anything. I mean, there were moments that I would cry and I was sad, but I think those were moments when I was younger, when I was fearful. But as I got older, it just pissed me off, you know? And that was where the lack of understanding came in, because I'd be like, God, can't she control it? Like, what is wrong with her? Which, like, the total irony of it was, you know, I would be saying that on Christmas Eve dinner at our house as she's passed out, and I'm cleaning up all the dishes. You know, I can remember, it literally was from one Christmas to the next, you guys. So, you know, like the Christmas that I was like in treatment, the Christmas before that, I can remember my mom and I taking a walk on Christmas Eve, okay? And then we were gonna watch the midnight, whatever, mass at the Vatican, because we would always walk, like on Christmas Eve. And I remember she was so drunk that she couldn't, because I would like limit my drinking around like my aunt and uncle and Caroline and stuff. I mean, I would drink, but I would limit it until later. Like I always knew, like, you know how alcoholics say that they can't control it? I think we can control it a little bit in certain situations until later, you know what I mean? At least I could at that point. So I knew I'd just get drunk later is what I would do, because I knew my mom was gonna pass out. But I can remember, like, that was one of the things I always loved growing up, was like she and I would take a walk on Christmas Eve. Not like when I was growing up, but like when I was like high school, like middle school to high school on. My mom and I would always take like a walk on Christmas Eve, you know, at some point in the snow or whatever. And I remember it was real icy that year. And she like literally was falling all over the road. And I can remember and she like started laughing like she thought it was funny or something, and I was pissed. I was like, you are so effing drunk, blah, 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 blah. This is disgusting. I am so tired of it, yada, 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 right? And then I came home, and she was like so upset about it, and I'm like in the kitchen cleaning up stuff while she's putting Santa's presents out, okay? Which was like, just think about this picture, how sad it is. Here my mom is, 3 sheets to the wind, and she's putting all of these presents out from Santa, and I'm 21 years old, 20 years old at the time, right? So she goes up to bed and passes out, and I'm in the kitchen, you know, with the Vatican on in the background and the hymns being sang and candles lit in our house everywhere and a fire going. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful home that I grew up in. Candles, it smells beautiful. It smells like cinnamon in our house. And I'm sitting there at the kitchen washing dishes, drinking all of the extra wine, pouring myself a vodka water or something, you know, like I'm sitting there and I'm getting drunk after I've just screamed and yelled at my mother for not being able to walk down the street because she was an embarrassment. And I got tanked that Christmas Eve, you know? And of course she didn't know, because we both woke up at the same time the next day, and so it didn't really matter anyway, you know? But like how crazy is that? Like how deluded and sick is that, you know? So that was that Christmas, and then the following Christmas was when I was in treatment, and my mom didn't want to do anything with my aunt and uncle because she was literally in the process of moving into the condo, and she didn't want to move. She didn't want to move out of her house. She was completely, which is so crazy, because she ended up moving and she ended up falling in love with her condo, because she was like, I feel so safe here. It's like the perfect size for me, because she had this, you know, 7,000 square foot house. I don't know how many square feet it was. It was a big house, 5,000 square foot house. And she's like, here, I have this big house and I don't need this house and blah, 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 whatever. And, you know, but she didn't want to move out of it because it was like her home that she built, and it was like my childhood home. So she sat at that house boxing stuff up. She told me this later. She was like, it was the saddest crap ever. She's like, I just got wasted drunk and just sat there and just like boxed stuff up to move. And she said, I drove stuff over to the condo, you know, and then drove home and boxed more stuff up, and then the next day drove. But she said it was depressing. It was super depressing. And then I was in treatment, and I didn't see her. My dad told her that she couldn't talk to me because I would beg her to come and get me, which I would have. And so the following Christmas, she was in the condo, and I remember we went over to my aunt's house for Christmas. Well, after the year that my mom put us into the ditch, that was on Christmas Eve, because we were coming back from my aunt's house. Every Christmas after that, we always had Christmas Eve at my mom's house and Christmas Day at my aunt's house. Like, we switched it so that my mom wasn't driving home on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas Day, she would stay at their house anyway. I would go to my dad's house. Like, Christmas Day at like 3 or 4, I would go to my dad's house, and then she would just stay there. So that's how that worked out. Somebody asked me that. It's funny the things that people want to know, but anyway, that's how it worked out. I mean, I don't mind. It is, you know, I put everything else out there, so. with my family at least. And so she, so yeah, she would stay over there like the 25th and the 26th and stuff. But like after that happened, but this is like kind of like David Sedaris' Holidays on Ice, isn't it? Drunk holidays, drunk Christmases. And do you know what's so crazy is, I totally thought it was normal growing up. Like, I thought all of this was normal, you know? I think that's the hardest thing. Like, until I started having, like, some friends who I would go over to their houses or whatever. Like, I had these twins that I was friends with in high school, and I can remember going over to their house, and, like, their mom was, like, always at the kitchen table reading the Bible. And and she would just be like, when we would walk in, she'd be like, "Hi, how's everybody doing?" And I always thought that was so strange. I'm like... I mean, I obviously had been over to people's houses before then, but I can remember, like, even, like, in elementary and junior high, like, I rarely went and did stuff with people, but when I did, like, it was crazy to me that, like, well, I did have one friend, and his dad, I swear to God, came home from work and probably had about 6 scotch and sodas, one after the other, sitting in a recliner in the living room. And so, like, to me, that was very similar to what I grew up with, you know what I mean? So it was like, and he was a hilarious guy anyway, but he would smoke one cigarette after another, and then he would go get on the computer, and he would, like, drink on the computer and smoke cigarettes. The poor guy died real young, but, he was a really nice guy, always very nice to me. And, so I guess maybe like the family, I don't know, maybe it was just a different generation too. I feel like people don't drink around their, oh, that's not true, I guess. I don't know, Caroline, she was always having like neighborhood stuff and whatever. Like her neighbors would come in with it was a different weird world because it would be like IPAs and stuff, you know, and they'd be like, "Oh, I just bought these IPAs, this Halloween cider or something," you know, and they would come over for the Halloween party or whatever. A lot of wine drinking, but it wasn't like, I don't know. Oh, I wanted to drive by and show you guys these Christmas lights. Oh, it's 2:30 in the morning. I'm sure that they're not still going, but what was I gonna say? Oh, the following Christmas, I keep on forgetting to finish my stories. The following Christmas was when my mom was at the condo, and so we went over to my aunt and uncle's house. And this kind of became like this thing that we ended up doing, like after every holiday, we would come back to my mom's house and then we would like take a walk, and then come back and drink some coffee, and then we would just like talk about the day and like our favorites and the thing, you know, what was our favorite food and what did we think about this and what did we think about that. But I remember we came back that year. I came to my mom's house, and I think I stayed at her house because my first boyfriend, he would always stay Christmas Eve at his mom's house because he had an older brother, and then he had like a younger sister and brother from his mom and dad, and then his mom had remarried, and she had 4 little kids who he referred to as the littles. He'd always say, "I have to go visit my littles," just like his little brothers and sisters. So there was like 8 of them in the family, and he always wanted to spend Christmas Eve with them, and he wasn't out to them, which was a huge decision of mine going forward. After that relationship, I said I would never date anybody that was not out again. That was like, and I totally understand people that are not out, but like at that point, I mean, I was like 28 almost at the time, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. But I was real supportive of him at that time because I don't think that you tell somebody when to come out, you know? But anyway, so he would spend Christmas Eve with his mom, and then he would come over to my aunt's house on Christmas Day. I feel like at that point, because my mom was in the condo and the condo was so small, that my aunt she did Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Later what we ended up doing was we would go over to Fleming's or like a steakhouse, and we would have like a really nice dinner out somewhere. Oh, the battery is dying. What to do? Where should I pull in? I'm gonna pull in right here. We would have like a really nice dinner at Fleming's. Alex always loved that we would get all dressed up like and go to Fleming's. Or Capri, we went one year for Christmas. That was just a couple years. This is becoming a mess. I'm trying to drive backwards to this bank, and they have like a thing up there so you can't drive through. There's salt everywhere. Are we supposed to be getting snow? I don't think we're supposed to get snow. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I was actually thinking about it, and I was like, as I was changing the battery, and I was like, my aunt didn't take us to Fleming's and stuff until after my mom had passed away. So, and then I was like, well, then we had it at her condo. But that's not true either, because my aunt didn't move into her condo until after my mom passed away. So we must have always had Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, from my high school on, or when I got sober or whatever. Well, it would have been from when I got sober on, because that was the year that my mom moved into the condo. The condo was too small to entertain everybody. So we would have had Christmas Eve and Christmas Day at my aunt's house. And I feel like maybe we did like one holiday at my cousin Caroline's, but it doesn't feel like it. I don't know. So anyway, Caroline's or my aunt's, we went out together. I feel like maybe we did Christmas Day at Caroline's and Christmas Eve. Yeah, I think that's what it is. We did Christmas Eve at my aunt and uncle's, and my aunt would always make like beef Wellington or something very fancy. And then we would do Christmas Day with the turkey and everything at Caroline's house. And Mike would do the turkey and everything, because he still does. I think that's what we did. Even though he just said on Thanksgiving that Caroline said, we're not doing this anymore. I said, okay, thanks for telling us, right time for Christmas. I said, just tell me what I need to order, and I'll just order it and bring it. We can just cook the sides that I order. Anyway. I'm not fancy. I don't need a home-cooked meal, although it's nice. But he is a fantastic cook, though, I will tell you. Mike is such a great cook. So anyway, it's kind of crazy to me, driving by all these Christmas lights and stuff, that people keep their Christmas trees in their houses on. I mean, we always unplugged ours at night. They keep them on all night long. They keep their lights on outside all night long. I mean, people have gone crazy with Christmas lights. You guys, look at this. People have gone crazy. It's everywhere in Indiana. Is it like yours? So this is what I wanted to drive you to and show you guys. Was up here, Tanya told me about this the other night. Did I talk about this last night? That there's there's a house that I drove by it. There's two of them on the street that have these signs in front of radio stations that you turn your radio to, and then you sit in front of them, and the lights are connected to the radio. So I came over here the other day because Tanya was telling me about it. And true story, they are. And it was like Mannheim Steamroller it was playing. And I listened to 3 songs, and then I FaceTimed Melissa and showed her. And then I Alex had FaceTimed me first, and so I showed him. And I talked about that because he was at home the other night. But anyway, I did talk about it on here. So anyway, that year that we both were sober, I came home, and I think it was kind of lightly snowing. It was a really beautiful evening outside, and I remember my mom and we took a walk, and it was magnificent. I remember it was I just remember it was super spiritual, and we talked about, that was our first Christmas sober walk that we ever took together, in that neighborhood that I live in now. It was just really cool. And then we came back and had coffee and watched Midnight Mass, and like I said, I used to watch that show, that movie that I love, that Season of Miracles, but I don't know that it was out then or not. I must have stayed over there that year, though. I feel like I stayed over there and slept on her couch. I'm emotional mess all the time anyway, but I always get so emotional close to my sobriety day. I don't know what that's about. Even about things that have nothing to do with sobriety, I get super emotional. This is the street. Is the house still going? The lights? No, the lights are turned off. So this is the house right here. Where's the sign? Oh, it says 90.5 FM. And then there's another one down here. Why would they not just leave them on all night long? I think that would be cool. I just sit out there. When I came up here the other day, that there was a lot of people sitting outside their house. I was like, that would kind of drive me crazy if all these people were sitting outside in front of my house. Is this it? There's a sign in front of it, because the other one is that one is 90.5, and the other one is 100 point something. It's up here. It's before you turn or stop. Where is it? Oh, here it is. It's this one. See, they have the sign that says 100.1. Tune your radio to 100.1 to hear the show. And they have that thing on top that says good night. Oh, okay. I guess that's why the lights aren't going. Good night. Good night. Good night. And we bid you good night. Good night. Oh, man. I just poked my eye. That did not feel good. And then you have like the house like this that just puts like lights up wherever on anything. There's a pole. Oh, let's just put lights on the pole. I should have shown it to you guys, but you can just guess, can't you? Do you want to see it? You're like, we want to see it. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. I feel bad. I think it's nice that we haven't put any lights out. I haven't even put my Christmas tree up yet. I need to haul that thing up and put it up. Okay, I'll turn around. I'll turn around and I'll show you the house. Since everybody's asking, why did you say that and then you didn't show it to us? Well, get over it. Get over it. Look at that snowman. Looks so real, doesn't it? Look at that. It's not. It's a blow-up snowman. Oh my gosh. I love looking at Christmas lights. It makes me so happy. Here's the good night thing. Merry Christmas and good night. It says good night. This is the one I'm talking about right here. They have like just random candy canes stuck in their grass, and then they have this flagpole, and they just have like all kinds of lights up this flagpole. And then, I mean, they have 6 random candy canes just stuck there. And then they have like every tree, it just kind of like, that would be our tree, totally. Like half the tree is done and not the top half. I was saying to Tanya the other day, because we were going, oh, and then look over here, this is the best. Charlie Brown's Christmas over here. She gets like a little bit of some lights over there. I kind of love that so much. But Tanya and I, we went to this neighborhood that's supposed to have like the most fantastic lights in the world. And you know, like people like these trees that are like 100 feet in the air or whatever, and they have like their lights are like perfectly done, right? I said, I mean, this tree, you guys, is so hilarious. This tree right here that I'm talking about is probably a good 100 feet in the air, and it's literally like the bottom 2 branches. So anyway, did you guys see this? Like, I mean, you can't make this up. This is cracking me up. Okay, look at that tree. That tree is perfection. I live for that tree. That is totally a Peter Monn tree. I'd be like, ah, F it. And it's not even the same lights, you guys. It's different lights. They ran out of the lights. I live for that so much. It makes me so happy. Because they're just like, we don't care. We just want Christmas lights up. That would still be me. But anyway, I said to Tanya, I said, how do people get these lights up here and stuff, you know? Like here, I'm going to show you an example, all right? Because people don't do the tall trees over here. But like this house right here, who is getting up on ladders and doing this? Like seriously, like that is some serious work, right? So there were these trees and they were like 150 feet in the air or whatever. And they were like perfect, like had lights everywhere on them, right? And I go, Tanya, I go, there's another one that just like they put them on the lower parts of the tree. And I said, that's kind of what I love anyway. I said, Tanya, I said, here's another one. Oh my God, this whole neighborhood, they half-assed it. Look at this. They only have half the tree. Oh my God, I love it so much. It makes me so happy. Those are the trees I'm living for now. But I said to Tanya, I said, how do they get those tall trees like that? Like this is what I'm talking about. This is the house that has the radio thing on it. But do you see this tree right here? Okay, that huge tree. Like just imagine that if that, you guys are like, no, we can't see anything, Peter. Okay, that one right there. Do you see what I'm talking about? That one. That huge tree. Imagine if it had lights all the way to the top that were like perfect, okay? Like perfect light ensemble, you know? Decorations ensemble. Anyway, I love the word ensemble. And Tanya was like, oh, they can, what'd she call them? Tree toppers or tree somethings, or you can hire these people to come out there and they'll do it for you. And I was like, people do that? And she was like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Because I wondered how people got their lights, like, up there that perfect. Like, here's a church. I was turning my camera around and I turned it off. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Their lights were pretty. So, what else? I don't know what else. But yeah, and then afterwards, that became like, it's so hot. After that, every year, that became like a thing that my mom and I did, that we would walk. After we would go to my aunt's house, we would like walk down the street and stuff. And then, when I got with my ex, we would do Christmas Eve with my mom and my aunt. And then Christmas Day, we would go over to my mom's house. We would stay at our apartment. We would go over to my mom's house. And we would have like a breakfast brunch with her, like at 10 or 11. And then we would drive down to Seymour and spend the day with his family. But then, because I saw Smoky Mountain Christmas, people think this is a joke, but it's the truth all day long. Because I saw Smoky Mountain Christmas and I was obsessed with it, I wanted to start spending Christmases in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Oh, come on now. Don't do this tonight. I wanted to start... I wanted to start spending Christmases in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, because Smoky Mountain Christmas, takes place in the Appalachian Mountains. So anyway, outside of, Gatlinburg, because that's where Dollywood is and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to get a cabin and everything. So my aunt and uncle one year, well, they had bought a timeshare in Longboat Key in Sarasota, like years ago. And so they would go like every other year for Christmas. And so for that year, my mom and I were just totally alone. And I remember the first year that we did it, must have been the Christmas... I wasn't with anybody, I was single. How would that have been possible? How would I have been single? I think it must have been my first year that my ex and I were together, because he stayed in with his family and he hadn't moved up here yet, and I was just with my mom because they had gone out of town, and my mom and I, like, we wanted to create new traditions, and so we got Chinese food from Chinese Dragon that was right up the street from her. It's a restaurant that's gone now. Or was it Chinese Ruby? I can't remember what the one was called. It was Chinese Ruby. It was so good. Anyway, they closed it down a couple years ago. And then we watched the Nick and Nora Charles movies, which I still need to watch those. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? With Asta. I grew up and I had a wire-haired fox terrier. And so, Asta, the dog, Nick and Nora Charles' dog, Asta, looked just like my dog when I was growing up. And so, we watched those movies, and yeah, it was fun. We started some new traditions, and that was that. But then my aunt and uncle, they started going to Florida every other year. So my mom and I and my ex, in one year, like my friend that passed away last year, Scotty, he went with us the first year. We started getting a cabin in Gatlinburg. But that didn't happen till like, I would say like 3 years before my ex and I broke up. We started that. Maybe 2 years. Because my mom and I went the year that he and I broke up, the Christmas before she passed away. I love Gatlinburg so much. Tani and I were gonna try to go do like a day or two down there in the fall, and then it just never happened, and I love it. It's so pretty down there. Maybe someday again I'll make it down there. Alex and I went down there with a bunch of couples when, like our second year dating, something like that. Oh God, it was a mess. And Alex didn't really drink a whole lot, but all these, like, these 4 guys that we were friends with, like, 5 other couples that Alex, like, all worked with their wives and stuff. So we all went down there. We used to go to karaoke on Wednesday nights at this bar called Moe's. We were all super, super close. And they knew that I didn't drink. And we had this huge condo, or huge cabin that had, like, a movie theater in it. I was really excited about it because I loved Gatlinburg and stuff, you know? And so the first night that we got down there, they were, like, doing shots, like, one after another in the kitchen. And I can remember, like, Alex had said to me, he's like, I won't drink a lot because I know that you're going to... Because I felt like I was going to be totally all alone, right? And we have another couple that we're friends with that was part of the group. And he doesn't really drink a lot. I mean, he'll drink, but he doesn't really drink a lot. And so he was like, well, I won't drink a whole lot either. And he didn't. But there were, like, 3 or 4 guys. Well... It would have just been the other 3. And they got so intoxicated. First of all, they stuck us in the basement in the worst room, okay? And we're down there next to the game room, and then next to, in this little itty bitty room, which, whatever, I don't fight over stuff like that, you know? So we're in this room in the basement. Everybody else had these huge bedrooms upstairs. We're in this little itty bitty room in the basement next to the game room and next to this movie theater room, which the guys have decided, because the girls want to go to bed early, they're like drinking wine and watching movies on the couch, these girls, right? So we finally go to bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning. These guys are so rowdy all night long. They are literally pounding on the floor next to our door. Peter and Alex, get up. Peter and Alex, get up. I finally, like, this went on for like an hour. I looked at Alex, I said, I'm gonna lose my mind. I said, I will not stay here one more night if this is gonna be how it is. You know, at the time I was, what, 37 years old, 38, 39 years old. I threw that door open and I looked at them, and and we're not talking these were like college age guys. These were like guys that were like professionals. I mean, a lot of them were like closer to my age. And I looked at this guy that was beating on the floor, and he thought it was so funny. And I said, if you don't get your ass up off that floor and get away from this door, I said, trust me, you're not going to be real happy. They were so apologetic about it the next day. They were so sorry. They were so hungover. And I was over it because I wanted to go into town. Like, I wanted to go into town and, you know, walk around Gatlinburg and shop and go to a cute restaurant. Nobody wanted to. They were completely hungover. Blah, 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 blah. Woe is me. This is why I don't like to travel with people that drink tons. They were like, so woe is me, and like, oh my God, like, my head hurts. Ah. I'm like, yeah, I'm tired because you were pounding on our door all night long on the floor next to our door. But they were really apologetic. I mean, we're still friends with all of them today. Well, actually, one of the couples was the girl that we went to her wedding in Texas. She's no longer with the guy that she was with, who was the main ringleader of that Peter and Alex get up madness. Over it. So anyway, after that trip, I was like, never again am I going on a group couples trip like this. And we actually have talked about it a couple times, because I would like to do it. I think it would be fun to go on a trip with a couple different couples. But I've told Alex, like, it's got to be couples that I like. I'm not going into that again. Like, I cannot go into, like, you know, because couples get together on their own vacation, and they, like, especially, like, all-inclusives and stuff, and they just start drinking and drinking. I mean, I've met people at all-inclusives when Alex and I would go to, like, Unico in Mexico and stuff, that would be there with other couples. Well, how we met those, like, 3 couples, and we hung out with them, you know? And it's, like, drinking's a huge part of that, and I don't, like, I need to at least have 1 or 2 people, you know? So, Alex and I have, because my sponsor's always wanted to go somewhere to travel. She loves to travel. So I told him, I said, that's fine. And she's cool. I mean, people love to hang out with her. I mean, she's a lot of fun. So I'm like, she'll lay out by a pool all day long. So I was like, okay, fine. We'll, like, do a couples trip, but then I'm going to, because Tanya and Eric don't love to do couples trips. And I was like, but I'm going to bring my sponsor with me. And he was like, that's fine, you know. But the couples that we talk about going with today, like, we would, like, I get along with all the couples and the husbands and stuff. So I forgot all about that trip. That was kind of, ugh. I love Tennessee though. It's so much fun. Speaking of Tennessee, there's like a log cabin right up here. I think it's so cute. I always pass it. And Alex and I were coming by this way one day. And he goes, is that a log cabin? And I go, mm-hmm. The first time that I ever took Alex to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, we haven't been down there. I think that trip with the couples was the last time that we went. But I surprised him one weekend, and this was like, we started dating in August, and this was like September. And I said we were going to get a cabin in Gatlinburg. And for some reason, he thought, like, he heard Nashville, Indiana, because there's Nashville, Indiana, which is right next to Bloomington, and they have like cabins, and it's real cute, right? He heard Nashville, Indiana. Like, he thought I said, like, I'm gonna sneeze, hold on. He thought, I must have said something like, it's in Tennessee, and he heard, like, instead of Nashville, Tennessee, it's not anywhere near Nashville, Tennessee, first of all. He heard Nashville, Indiana. So we're like driving down there, and it's like a Friday afternoon, and we had little Pee-Pee with us at the time. I miss that little dude so much. I loved him. This guy was my best friend. So we're driving down there. I mean, I've rented this gorgeous cabin. I'm so excited. I'm thinking, it's going to be the romantical cabin weekend of the century. And we're going to just sit there and watch, scary movies and get in the hot tub and just be romantical the whole weekend, right? So Alex falls asleep like 40 minutes into this trip, half an hour into this trip. And he wakes up like 2 hours later. Now, it's 6.5 hours from Indianapolis, okay? Gatlinburg, Tennessee is. And he was like, where are we? And we're like, at that point, like, just past Louisville, Kentucky or something, And I said, well, we're like, whatever, here, we're somewhere in Kentucky. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I go, we're like, we still have like 4 hours. He's like, 4 hours? I was like, yeah. He was like, and I'm like trying to impress him and do everything right, And he's like, I thought you said we were going to Nashville, Indiana. And I said, I never said we were going to Nashville, Indiana. I said we were going to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And he goes, you didn't say that. And I go, yeah, I did. And he was like, we still have 4 hours? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, you're going to have to pull over. I'm hungry. I was like, okay. This is actually when I stopped being a vegetarian. And so the first time that I was a vegetarian, then I stopped, because we pull in and we're like going through the drive-thru, and he's like, get me, he was really hungry. He wanted a double cheeseburger, and he wanted fries, and he wanted a small chicken nugget. So I got him all that, and then I got Diet Coke and fries, because I wasn't like such a hardcore vegetarian back then. And the fries are made in like animal fat and stuff. So we go through, and he's like, I gotta let Pee-Pee out, and I'm gonna get him, or he got some water for Pee-Pee. He's like, I'm gonna let Pee-Pee out to go potty and give him some water and stuff. So he was doing that, and when he got done, he was like, will you watch Pee-Pee? He goes, I think I'm gonna go inside and get another double cheeseburger. And I go, yeah, and I go, will you get me a double cheeseburger too, and a large order of chicken nuggets? And he was like, are you serious? And I go, yeah. He goes, but you're a vegetarian. And I was like, I don't care. But anyway, so we went down to Gatlinburg for the weekend. Now, we really did have a good time that weekend, but he was so over the fact that, like, when you're in the mountains, you have my husband is glued to his, well, he's not so much anymore, but except for his game, he loves that township game. But when I first met Alex, he was literally social butterfly of the world, constantly on his cell phone. And the fact that he got, like, in the mountains and had no cell reception, he was not happy about it at all. Oh, well, tricked you, didn't I? Oh, man. Well, all right, you guys, listen, I have vlogged for, I don't know how long I've vlogged for, but it feels like a long time now. So I'm going to get off here. I was only going to vlog for like 40 minutes tonight, and then I was going to try to finish this audiobook, which was never going to happen tonight anyway, but it's definitely not going to happen now. So I'm going to get off here and listen to Radio Silence by, I didn't talk that much about books tonight. I'm proud of that. I'll talk about it tomorrow on my book vlog. So if you'd like to hear about me talk about books, come into my book vlog tomorrow. And I'm reading Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. And I'm gonna go read that now. And yeah, I'm gonna sign off real quick and just let you guys know that if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And like I just said, I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya! Love you so much! Bye! Peace out! Love ya! Bye! Love ya!